The US and China have agreed to resume military communication after high-stakes diplomatic talks between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping in California. Live now to Trudy McIntosh, who's there live for us in San Francisco. Trudy, we heard from President Biden last hour. We got his take on the talks. It seems like the two leaders covered a lot of ground.
Oh, certainly a lot on the agenda, Ash. In the end, it was more than 4 hours of private discussions between the US President Joe Biden and China's leader Xi Jinping. It was the first time President Xi had been back here on American soil in more than 5 years. The last time he was here, Donald Trump was president. It's the first time these two have met, though, since last year. There had been a standoff and no communication at the highest level between the world's two big superpowers. So what came out of this big meeting? We saw a warm welcome at the start. There was a lunch and they walked around the garden together, all smiles. But when it got down to business here, there are massive differences and strategic competition between these two countries. Joe Biden confirming that China has agreed to crack down on fentanyl exports. There is a huge opioid epidemic here in America. But keep in mind, China promised Donald Trump a few years ago that they would do the same, and there wasn't a real crackdown in the end. Another big important part of this, though, is the re-engagement of the communication channels between the two big militaries. That had been severed abruptly after the then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi went to Taiwan. So an agreement to at least be able to have dialogue to prevent miscommunication, and that is going to be so crucial. We talk a lot about the ongoing wars in the Middle East and in Ukraine, but the real concern is a potential breakout of conflict here in our region over Taiwan. This is the remarks from President Biden a short time ago. Does he trust President Xi?
Trust but verify, as the old saying goes. That's where I am. And, we're in a competitive relationship, China and the United States. But my responsibility is to make this rational and manageable, so it doesn't result in conflict.
Underlining the very difference between the two political systems, the US president fronting the media and asking and facing questions, no such engagement by the Chinese president. Instead, we have this readout from the China's foreign ministry. Crucially, they say that the Chinese leader warned Joe Biden to stop arming Taiwan. They also said that China's reunification was unstoppable. Joe Biden, in return, told his Chinese counterpart that he needed to respect the election in Taiwan that is coming up. I wanted to bring you these remarks, though, we have on camera from Xi Jinping from the opening when he met President Biden, a real indication into how he views this relationship.
The China-US relationship, which is the most important bilateral relationship in the world, should be perceived and envisioned in a broad context of the accelerating global transformations unseen in a century. It should develop in a way that benefits our two peoples and fulfills our responsibility for human progress. For two large countries like China and the United States, turning their back on each other is not an option. It is unrealistic for one side to remodel the other, and conflict and confrontation has unbearable consequences for both sides.
And Trudy, our Prime Minister, is also there for those APEC talks. What's he had to say so far?
Well, Ash, in essence, Australia a bystander to these high-stakes diplomatic talks that took place before Anthony Albanese had even touched down here in San Francisco. But when he did, he has remarked that he welcomes the fact that our biggest trading partner and our biggest security ally are now willing to engage once again when it comes to those military channels.
I conveyed to President Xi my view that military-to-military discussions and dialogue is very important. We need guardrails to make sure that we don't have misunderstandings or miscalculations that could lead to real issues and real conflict.
Anthony Albanese has also met this afternoon with the CEO and chairman of Microsoft. This is about reiterating a $5 billion pledge from the tech giant in Washington when he was here less than 3 weeks ago. That's about investing in Australia's cyber footprint. There's also an addition when it comes to getting AI into our public sector. But on a rainy San Francisco night, Ash, the leaders are going to be heading now to a welcome reception out of the rain, in together, an informal chance for them to catch up these 21 Pacific Rim economies.